She didn't think anything of it at first. A wrong number, a late-night mistake. But when she opened that message, there was a photo of her, taken through her bedroom window, while she was sleeping, 30 minutes before that message arrived. And the worst part, this wasn't a stranger. This was someone she saw every single day. Someone who smiled at her every morning. Someone she trusted. Before we start, I need to tell you something. What you're about to hear was submitted to this channel by real people telling their real stories. You may find yourself looking at the ordinary people around you just a little bit differently. 3 stories, 3 real people, 3 moments where their ordinary everyday life turned into something they will never forget and never fully recover from. These stories were sent to this channel by our subscribers. The names changed, the locations adjusted, but the events, every terrifying detail, is exactly as it was told to us, because these people want you to know what happened so that it never ever happens to you. And if this is your first time here, you picked one hell of a video to start with. Let's begin. The first thing you need to picture is this: a completely normal Tuesday evening. Sarah is 29. She works in marketing. She lives alone in a semi-detached house. She's had the same neighbor for 2 years. His name is Daniel. He's quiet, polite, keeps to himself. He waters his garden. He waves when she leaves for work. And on this particular Tuesday evening, Sarah is in the shower, music on, steam rising, completely unaware that on her kitchen table downstairs, her back door, which she was certain she had locked, was standing slightly open, 2 inches, just enough. She only found out because of a single muddy footprint on her kitchen floor, a boot print that wasn't hers. The mud had already started drying at the edges, cracking, which meant it had been there for a while, which meant whoever made it had been inside while she was in the shower and had left before she came downstairs, and she hadn't heard a thing. But let me take you back, because this didn't start that Tuesday. This started 7 months earlier, and looking back now, Sarah says the signs were there. She just didn't know what she was looking at. It started small, the way it always does. A note through her door: saw your bins were out on the wrong day, moved them back for you. Neighborly, kind even. She thought nothing of it. Then, a few weeks later, her car had a flat tire one morning. She was running late, and Daniel appeared already holding a pump. Saw it from my window, he said. Thought you might need help? Again, kind, helpful. She thanked him. She even mentioned him to her friend that night. My neighbor Daniel, he's so thoughtful. And that's the thing about people like Daniel. They don't read as threatening. They read as considerate. They are patient in a way that looks like kindness. They are present in a way that looks like neighborliness. And they are watching, always watching, long before you ever think to look back, which is precisely why it works. 3 months in, Sarah started noticing things. Small things she filed away without fully registering. Her recycling sorted correctly on a morning she was certain she hadn't sorted it. A scratch on her front door lock that hadn't been there the week before. Not a big scratch. The kind you'd make if something slipped. An attempt that didn't work first time. She assumed she'd done it herself with her keys in the dark. One morning, her bathroom window, open just slightly. She knew she'd closed it, but she also knew she was tired. She couldn't be certain. And one evening, she was coming home late. Her motion sensor light came on. Before she'd reached the driveway, she stood at the garden gate and waited. Nothing. Probably a fox. She went inside, locked the door, forgot about it by morning. She told herself a lot of things, because the alternative was something she wasn't ready to consider, and nothing was ever taken. Nothing was ever damaged. So what was there, really, to report? Sarah would later say in the statement she gave, that the moment she found the footprint was the moment she wished she'd just said something sooner. She said she'd always felt slightly uneasy in that house, not scared, just off. She couldn't explain it. She'd mentioned it to a friend once. I don't know. That house just never really felt like mine. Her friend said it was because she was living alone for the first time. Sarah agreed. and never mentioned it again. What she found next, what the police found next, answered every question she'd quietly dismissed, and created ones she'd probably never stop asking. The police came. They took a report. They examined the back door. There were marks around the lock, faint ones. Investigators believed it had likely been manipulated, not forced, not kicked in. Something more deliberate. Initially, there was no clear suspect. A detective on the case told Sarah they'd had reports of a local teenager caught trespassing in gardens nearby. Sarah latched onto that. It made sense. A kid messing around. Nothing taken, nothing damaged. Probably just curiosity. She almost believed it. But it was the follow-up visit, 4 days later, that changed everything. The same detective knocked on doors along the street. Standard procedure. When she knocked on Daniel's door, he answered, completely calm. Offered her a cup of tea. And on the wall of his hallway, just visible over his shoulder, was a single photograph, printed, framed, of a woman shot from outside. Through a window, the subject wasn't posing. She didn't know she was being photographed. The detective asked who she was. Daniel paused. Just for a moment, then said a cousin, smiled, closed the door. She walked back to her car, sat there for a minute, and put in for a warrant. She later told investigators she couldn't have explained exactly why, just something about the pause, and the photograph, and the way he'd angled himself to block the hallway, like he already knew she was looking. What they found when they came back was something nobody on that street was prepared for. Officers entered Daniel's home with a warrant. The hallway was normal, tidy, quiet. The front room normal, the kitchen normal. But at the end of the hallway, a door, locked from the inside. When they got it open, one wall, floor to ceiling, photographs, all of the same woman, all of Sarah. There were dozens of them. Some taken from the street, some through her front window, her kitchen, her living room, her in the garden, getting into her car. The detective later described it as a timeline, months of images, organized, but toward the center of the wall, one photograph, different from the others, not taken from outside. It was taken inside her bedroom. While she was asleep, the timestamp printed at the bottom. 4 months ago, he had been inside. While she was there, while she was sleeping, and the bedroom window in the picture was closed, which meant he had used the door, investigators later confirmed. There were signs he had been in the property on multiple occasions. A key had been made. From a wax impression of her spare, taken from somewhere she kept it. Without her knowledge, without her ever noticing it was gone. Daniel was arrested that evening. He had been Sarah's neighbor for 2 years. The photographs spanned just over 14 months. Investigators believe he began watching her within weeks of her moving in. Sarah no longer lives on that street. She told us she doesn't think she'll ever feel comfortable in her own home again. And she wanted us to share this for one reason. I still remember waving at him that morning, the same morning they later confirmed he'd been inside my house. I waved, and he waved back and smiled. That's the part that stays with me. Knowing I smiled at someone who had already been standing in my bedroom while I slept and had gone back downstairs and locked my door behind him, like a guest who was polite enough to clean up after themselves. If Daniel hadn't made that one mistake, if that detective hadn't paused at just the right moment, Sarah might never have known. He had been meticulous for 14 months, patient, invisible, consistent. And he was undone by a photograph hanging in a hallway and a detective's instinct. That's how close it came to never coming out at all. Story 2 is next, and I have to warn you, this one is different because in this case, the person responsible sat 3 desks away from their target for 4 years, and nobody, not once, saw anything wrong. Story 2, someone knows where you live. The first package arrived on a Wednesday. Marcus thought it was a mistake. He even knocked on a few neighbors' doors. Nobody claimed it. Inside was a hardcover edition of his favorite novel, an old one, out of print. The pages were yellowed at the edges, It smelled like a secondhand bookshop. Someone had gone looking for this specific copy, not ordered a new reprint. Searched for this exact edition, the one he remembered from his grandfather's shelf. He had mentioned it not just once, actually. Thinking back, he remembered bringing it up a few times over the years. It was one of those things he genuinely loved, so it came up naturally. A long conversation about favorite books. A quiet afternoon when the office was half empty. The kind of thing you say without tracking who's listening. He'd never thought twice about it. To a room of colleagues. To one of them, it was information, and this was only the beginning. Over the next 6 weeks, 8 packages arrived. Some felt deeply personal. Others were stranger, less targeted. A vinyl record, a band he'd once mentioned loving as a teenager. A small framed photograph of the street in Toronto where he grew up. A journal with his initials embossed on the cover. But mixed in with those, a scented candle and a fragrance he didn't recognize. A bag of ground coffee, a brand he'd never bought, never liked. A curing with no note, no explanation. That's what made it so unsettling. It wasn't a perfect portrait of him. It was like someone had been watching closely, but not always correctly. Getting things right enough to prove they knew him. Getting things slightly wrong in ways that felt almost worse, because it meant they were real. Guessing, reaching, trying. The packages always arrived on Wednesdays. Always. No return address. Posted from different locations, each time different postcodes, different cities. As if someone was traveling or planning carefully. Marcus went to the police after the 5th package. They took a report, but there was no threat, no explicit message, just gifts. The law, at that point, had very little it could do. The officer who took the report was sympathetic, but honest, he said. Unless there's a direct threat, unless there's evidence of intent to harm, they couldn't compel anyone to stop sending mail. He suggested Marcus contact Royal Mail. He suggested he keep records. He asked if there was anyone Marcus thought might be responsible. Marcus said he had no idea, which was true. He genuinely had no idea. And whoever was sending them knew that. The 7th package had no gift inside, just a small white note card. Handwritten, it said. Hope work wasn't too stressful this week. That was all. Marcus read it twice, then sat very still. Because the previous week had been one of the worst of his career. A difficult project. A bad meeting. He'd complained about it to a couple of colleagues. He'd vented about it at his desk. Whoever was sending these packages wasn't just drawing on old memories anymore. They were watching his present, right now, in real time, and they wanted him to know that. He went back to the police that afternoon. Again, they took a report. Again, there was no explicit threat. Just a note, just concern, just gifts. The 8th package arrived 3 days later, and this one was different. When Marcus got home that evening, it was sitting on his doorstep. No postal markings, no courier label, just left there. When he opened it, there was no gift inside, just a single Polaroid photograph of his front door, taken from across the street. And standing in the doorway, clearly visible, was Marcus himself, leaving for work. That morning, someone had been there, outside his building. That morning, watching him leave, had taken a photograph, and then walked up to his front door, while he was gone, and left it there for him to find. They wanted him to know. That was the point, not to hide. To show him, I was right there, and you didn't see me. Marcus would later say that the worst part wasn't the packages, it was the 3 months after, looking at every person he knew, and trying to decide, because that's what this does to you. It doesn't just scare you in the moment, it poisons the ordinary. Every friendly face becomes a question. Every person who's ever been kind to you becomes a suspect. He made a list, 23 people who had been in his life long enough to know those details. Then he went through it. Slowly, carefully, crossed off anyone who couldn't have known every detail. 23 became 12, 12 became 5, 5 became 2, and then 1. The last name on his list, the only one who could have known every single detail, every book, every street, every band, even the ones that didn't fit perfectly. The candle, the coffee, were things she might have guessed at, filling in the gaps with her own assumptions. A woman from his office, colleague, 3 desks away, someone he'd worked alongside for 4 years, someone he considered a friend. Her name was Claire. He told us he'd actually crossed her name off the list the first time, because she seemed too obvious, because he liked her, because he couldn't make himself believe it. He went back to it 3 days later, started again, and her name kept coming back. Every single time, he went back to the police with his list. His reasoning, his evidence. They didn't dismiss it, but they told him, a list isn't enough. They needed something more. 2 weeks later, they got it. A package arrived at his building. CCTV in the lobby captured someone dropping it at the front door. The footage was blurry, low resolution, the kind that makes everything look grainy and uncertain. But the coat was distinctive, dark green, specific buttons. He'd noticed that coat before because the buttons were unusual. Old-fashioned? Marcus recognized it. He'd seen Claire wear that coat dozens of times, standing 3 desks away, smiling at her screen, and he sat with that knowledge for a long time before he could call the police, because part of him still hoped he was wrong. Marcus didn't confront her. He went back to the police, this time with his evidence. The correlation was enough for them to take it further. When investigators looked at Claire's home, they found a dedicated room, a room she had kept locked. Inside that room, a timeline of Marcus's life, photographs, some taken from outside his windows, receipts for every item she had sent, journals, hundreds of pages, all about him, spanning for years. She had been watching him since the day he joined the company. At no point in 4 years had Marcus suspected anything. He had sat near her. He had shared lunches with her. He had asked her how her weekend was. And every single day, she had been building a world in that locked room. A world that had him at the center of it. Marcus told us, the thing that stays with me is that I was never scared of her. She was just Claire. Quiet. That's what I can't process. That she could do all of that and I never felt anything was wrong. I think about all the people in my life now, and I hate that I do. Claire was charged and convicted. Marcus changed jobs, changed cities. He says some days are fine. Other days, a package arrives, normal deliveries, things he ordered himself, and his hands shake before he opens it. That's what this kind of experience does. It rewires you. It takes something as ordinary as receiving mail and makes it terrifying. The third story is the one that disturbs me the most. Because unlike Sarah and Marcus, our third contributor was 15 years old and home alone. And she heard something she should never have heard. Coming from inside her own house, Jade was 15. It was a Friday night. Her parents had gone to a dinner 3 streets away. She'd stayed home homework, she said. Mostly her phone. Normal. The house had a front door, back door, side gate, all locked. Her dad checked before he left. He always checked. At 9:12 p.m., Jade heard something. A sound from downstairs, a drawer being opened and then closed. She took her headphones out and listened. The house was completely silent. She told herself it was the cat, except they didn't have a cat. She told herself it was the boiler. She told herself it was her imagination. And then the drawer opened again. Jade did not go downstairs. She did the right thing. She locked her bedroom door. She called her mom. Her mom answered on the second ring. She told Jade to stay in her room, lock the door, stay quiet. They were coming. She called the police immediately after. 3 minutes later, Jade heard footsteps, not panicked, not fast, slow, deliberate, coming up the stairs. And then they stopped, right outside her bedroom door, and someone tried the handle. Jade was pressed against the far wall of her bedroom, phone to her ear, her mom talking to her the whole time, telling her to breathe, telling her the police were close. The door handle turned 3 times, 3 slow, testing turns, and then stopped. Jade heard the footsteps move away. Back down the stairs, the back door which her father had locked, opened and closed. The police arrived 4 minutes later. Her parents were 30 seconds behind them. When officers searched the house, they found evidence of how someone had entered. The bathroom window on the ground floor, forced from outside, quietly enough that none of the neighbors heard it. And in the kitchen, the drawer that Jade had heard was open. Inside the drawer was where her family kept their spare keys. Front door, back door, car, all 3 sets were gone. The man was caught 12 days later. He had used the stolen keys to enter 2 other homes in the area. When police searched his property, they found records. He had been casing the street for months. He knew the family's schedule. He knew when they went out. He knew how long they were usually gone. He had been in the house before twice, while the family was asleep. He had never taken anything on those visits. Investigators believe he was looking for something specific, or escalating toward it. What stopped him on the night Jade was home was the locked bedroom door, and the 4 minutes it took for the police to arrive. Jade's family wanted us to share this because of one detail. The bathroom window, the one that was forced open. The latch on that window had been slightly loose for months. They had noticed it. They had meant to fix it. They just hadn't got around to it yet. One loose window latch. That's all it was, Jade told us, through her parents. I keep thinking about the door handle. I was 2 feet away from it, on the other side. I keep thinking about what would have happened if I hadn't locked it. I can't stop thinking about it. 3 stories, 3 real people, a quiet neighbor, a trusted colleague, a loose window latch. None of these began with a dramatic warning. None of them felt like danger at the start. They felt like a helpful neighbor, a thoughtful gift, a sound you can probably explain. And that is the most important thing I can leave you with tonight. It doesn't announce itself. It hides in the ordinary. It wears the face of the familiar. So check your window latches. Know your exits. Trust the feeling in your gut, because Sarah, Marcus, and Jade's family, all of them said the same thing when we asked, "Did you ever feel something was wrong?" Every single one of them said yes. And every single one of them talked themselves out of it. Don't talk yourself out of it. These stories were shared so that you know, not to scare you for the sake of it, but because knowledge is the one thing that changes outcomes. Jade's door was locked. That lock is why we could make this video. If you've had an experience, something that happened to you or someone you know, something that still keeps you up at night, submit it to this channel. Your details stay protected, but your story could be the thing that saves someone else. If you want more true accounts like these, real events, real people, the things that happen when no one is watching, subscribe to this channel right now and hit that bell icon. Every single time we post, you'll be the first to know, because the next story in my inbox, you will not sleep after hearing it. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe and lock your windows.